You guys know what time it is? I'll give you a guess. 5 guess. Well, actually, no. It's Gear Change Show time here on here at the radio show. So here's the Gear Change Show here on a Saturday night. So I've got double whammy for you guys tonight. I've got a Gran Turismo video going to be uploading, and I'm also got a Gear Change Show because I was trying to make up for yesterday's non-video day. So I may do multiple uploads if I miss a day. I'll do 1 or 2 videos during the day. So this is video number 2 for you guys that I'll be uploading in a few hours. This will be uploading in a few minutes. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Friday night. Welcome to the Gear Change Show. Welcome to my domain. Welcome to the room and stuff like that. So I just wanted to let you guys know that we already got 23 views already, which is stellar. I think it's the fastest we've gotten up to speed since the start of the new year. So amen to you guys. And January looks like it'll be off to the races. So today is the 4th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Today is the 4th. Tomorrow's the 5th, and then Monday's the 6th, and then Tuesday's 7th, I believe. And a million years from now, well, probably be another Tuesday, which was Wednesday, way back when. Enough of that joke. I thought I'd do a Gear Change Show tonight because I haven't done one in a while, and I decided I was going to do something that I wanted to do for a while, and because it's near and dear to me, I would kind of talk about it. So a lot of you guys are probably wondering, so you guys probably know how I got into cars and stuff like that, because I think it was first the Viper, and then the Corvette came along. Corvette's always been a huge favorite of mine since way back when. But I wanted to tell you guys how I got exposed to cars, and how I got exposed to racing, and so forth. So how I got exposed to racing was when I was a kid. Got into racing. How I got into driving games and stuff like that, games like Gran Turismo and all that other stuff, was actually NASCAR 98. NASCAR 98, it was pretty cool. So we had NASCAR 98. So of all the races, we had a couple racing games actually for PlayStation and stuff like that. The first one, PS1, PSX, whatever you want to call it. I remember we had Driver, which was a getaway chase drama type thing, like Bullet, The French Connection, Gone 60 Seconds, Vanishing Point, and all the good chase movies from way back when. All the good chase movie, anything that had a good chase movie, like the James Bond movies and stuff like that. That's more towards that, and the Dirty Harry movies and stuff like that, sort of inspired by that. And then we also had Jet Moto, which was basically futuristic bikes on water and dirt and snow and all this other stuff. I think if I'm correct in saying, I think GTA got the Oppressor 2 idea from Jet Moto a little bit, because the Oppressor on GTA does look like a Jet Moto bike. Google Jet Moto PlayStation, and you guys will see the cool bikes, all the cool bikes and stuff like that. There was turbo boost. You could run through houses, and you could go on. And the wipeout sequences were pretty cool. There was also Road Rash, which was super aggressive. You could knock out people with a pipe or a chain, which was kind of vulgar. NASCAR '98 was also another good one. NASCAR '98 was we actually had a wheel for NASCAR '98, and it was just a small Mad Cat wheel with a little concave bottom and a sequential shifter before they were cool. So before they became cool in sim racing, so it was sort of Formula One / racing style. Even though most most race cars still had a stick shift sequential box in them, and some GT cars still had a stick shift in them. And we also had Rush, Test Drive. I remember we had Test Drive 6, and stuff like that. We tried to time ourselves driving Corvettes, Vipers, and all this other stuff. We also had Test Drive Off-Road, where we learned about Hummer, Land Rover Defender 90, and Jeep Wrangler and stuff like that. That was the cool off-roady stuff. And then eventually I remember my cousin Eric getting 7 Racing. We played that one time. We brought it over for on Christmas one year. I think it was like 98, 99. And it was a pretty cool game. I remember and stuff like that. And wouldn't be until the PS2 era when we got Gran Turismo, when I got my first Gran Turismo 3 Ace back, that it became a thing, because most of the NASCAR, we got NASCAR 99 and NASCAR Thunder and stuff like that. But I think my first real sim style or simcade style racing was wait a second, I'm forgetting the Formula One game we got in 1997. So we got Formula One in 1996, part of the 1995 World Championship, Michael Schumacher, and got to listen to Murray Walker say, "Oh, he's hit the barrier, it's Schumacher," and all that other stuff. That was if I had to name one of my top games to play on the PS1 era, it had to be NASCAR 98, 99, and Formula One, the game by and I actually have that disc in a PS1 up here that I could probably connect back in, and I could probably play it again. It's hilarious how I still remember how to do all that racing, and I still remember how to drive all the cars, even though the cars were kind of wild back then, and still be able to set them up. Be able to set them up now that I know how to do that. Not that the NASCAR games didn't prepare me for that. There was also, but I think when we got the PS1, the PS2, Gran Turismo back in 2002 was huge. I remember getting the 3 back in 2002, and I think I remember getting Gran Turismo 4 in 2005. So I think there was a 3-year gap. I remember getting Gran Turismo 5 for my birthday, because I think it came out, no, it was 2004. So I think A-Spec came out in 01. Yeah, A-Spec came out in 01. GT3 A-Spec came out in 01. And I think 3 years later, I got Gran Turismo, because I remember getting it for my birthday in 2004. I remember having my friend Tom on the phone, and I was just concentrating on the game, not talking to him, because I was saying, "Oh my god, this game is so cool," and he's like, "You're not paying attention to me," and all this other stuff and stuff like that. And it was like, "Tom, bruh, chill, it's just a game, man. I'll tell you all about it when I'll tell you all about it. That's how addicting that game was. It was that good back then. So um, Gran Turismo was always a cool series, and it was always a cool series. I don't think I really. I think my first, it was, as I said, it was more simcade. It wasn't really sim arcadey type thing. I had a couple Formula One games. I remember having Formula One to 2000 season when Schumacher was actually dominating. Um, I remember having F1 2002 the season, and that game being better. And then eventually, I didn't buy another Formula One game till 2010 when I bought it for the PS3. So this was about, I think it was about a year after we got. I think this was about a year or like 6 months after we got the PS1, the PS3. But I remember, um, having a decent computer back then, and I got a wheel, a Momo Logitech wheel, and I have a Logitech Momo, and I have a Logitech wheel now. But for some odd reason, I've stayed with Logitech my whole life because it's cheaper to run Logitech than it is any other wheel. And I bought this game called GTR2. Hands down, my first ever sim racing experience in my life. Hands down, one of my favorite games on PC. I wish they made something like it today because, well, they do. They make a Assetto Corsa and stuff like that, and Project Cars, even though Project Cars kind of sucks now. But I remember when Simbin came out with GTR2. Now, they came with a GTR game, and then they came with GTR2, and some of the cars were very cool. There were Porsche 911s, there was Porsche by Turbos, there was Dodge Viper, there was the Corvette, Ferraris, a couple Lamborghinis. Uh, an Alfa, an Alfa Romeo. I think there was a Marcos Mantis, and then there was a Gillet Vertigo, this G2 car, and then there was also the Corvette. I remember the Maserati MC12 GT1 being part of this. I remember having more miles though in a Ferrari 550 Maranello, and I remember still to this day actually having doing Donington's national circuit in 1 minute and 3 seconds. I remember setting the car up, driving. I probably did about maybe 10 races. There were maybe about an hour. There maybe were about 50 laps because I didn't want to do endurance races. I never did a 24-hour race, even though you could. I don't think my computer would have lasted that long because this was kind of before processors were that good. It was enough to where I could play the game that way. I probably couldn't play it on my laptop now. My laptop would probably blow a fuse, probably right now, but that's just me. But yeah, so the first ever racing game to really call my attention to sim racing and not be some arcade, drive arcade, or simcade title would be GTR2. Then we fast forward to the PS3 years, and Gran Turismo 5, Gran Turismo 6 came out. Gran Turismo Sport also came out. Actually, I think Gran Turismo 6 was PS4. Gran Turismo, Gran Turismo 6 was PS4. And then I remember getting a gaggle of the Formula One games, and I remember getting Formula 1 2010, 2011, skip 12, 13, 14. I got 16, 17, 18, got 23, I've got 24, but that's PS4 and Xbox. But in F1 2000 and F1 2010 was kind of the definitive Formula One racing game for the PS3. Although they've gotten better now with with the new cars and such. I really liked that game. It was amazing. There was no commentary. And then I remember when the 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016 games came out, the classic cars came out. And we had all the classic cars from everything from Senna's McLaren to Alan Prost's Ferrari, Nigel Mansell's Williams cars, all the old Alan Jones's old Williams, and Damon Hill's 1996 championship winning FW17. I remember just recently we had Benetton Ferrari, and we've had the F2004, the dominating F2004 Formula One car. I remember that car, and amongst other things. And as of recently, we also had Project Cars, the first one, and I remember getting that in 2015, and I remember getting Project Cars 2 in 2017 for my birthday. Remember loving that game. I still love it. I still do play it, actually. Then I got Assetto Corsa, which came out a couple years ago. I got Assetto Corsa Competizione. I'm probably going to get Assetto Corsa Evo when it comes out on console or on PC, we'll see. And then I have Gran Turismo 7, of course. So there were different milestones, different games that really set things off. And of course, I got into the Forza series about 2 years ago, almost a year and a half ago. So, and I've been into I like the Forza series, stuff like that. So, all right, people, brief pause. Sorry for the pause. Well, you guys didn't notice the pause. On PC, there was also Grand Prix Legends and a few other Formula One games that we had. I remember getting Grand Prix Championship, I think it was like 2000 and I think it was GP like 2000 and like 1999 or something like that. It's terrible. I couldn't stand it. Graphics were terrible. Wasn't quite the Formula One game. Grand Prix Legends, though, was actually a very cool one. Got introduced to that when I went to went to a modified car racing museum, and the guy had a PC. He had a racing wheel, and he had I remember this is about the time I had GTR2 and on the disc tray, and the wheel getting its pulled on, and remember he says, "Oh yeah, I have this cool racing game from you about European racing cars. It's not indie, but it's pulled up Grand Prix Legends, showed me how everything worked, gas, pedal, clutch." And I remember taking a BRM 816 around Watkins Glen, on a very early Watkins Glen, and going around the course and having so much fun with it. And it's a lot different than the Watkins Glen we know today, but Watkins Glen was pretty, or was it, I forget if it was Watkins Glen or, yeah, it was Watkins Glen. It was a very early Watkins Glen. I remember going through all the turns, stuff like that. This is before the graphics were all kind of cool. I remember buzzing down the front stretch at about 110, 120, 130, 140, 150 miles an hour, and then sliding off because there's no downforce. And the guy was like, "Oh, you got to be good on so you got to be really early on the brakes because there's no downforce on these things." These are all Formula One cars, like 1966, 1967. And, there was Ford. There was the Ford GT. There was the Ford 49. There was the Ford Lotus, the Lotus 49, the Ferrari 312, the Iwamura, or the Honda. Well, it was known as Iwamura in the beginning, but it was this Honda later, with the V12, and Maserati with its Maserati Cooper with its V12, Brabham with the Repco V8, Dan Gurney with his Eagle with the V12, the Grant Wesley V12. Really cool game, and the sounds were spot on, like a V8 Ford engine sounded like it did, although it was. And then I think, but the coolest sounding engine, I think, all of them. I tried them all out when I got the game, when I could download the game on PC, because I had the racing wheel. I remember taking the 816 BRM around. Oh boy, that thing sounded really aggressive. Like, everybody keeps saying, "Oh, the Bugatti V16 is so W16 sounds so cool." I'm like, like. Bugatti's new Tourbillon V16 sounds very close to it, which is very good. But this was 3 liters capacity, about 440 horsepower. Car weighed about 650 kilograms, which your maths is about 1,400 to 1,500 pounds. Heavy girl for its time. Not very reliable though, and it drank a lot of oil, and it consumed a lot of fuel, and it broke very easily. I think it only had one win in a Lotus 43 or something like that, like 1967, 1968, when they were testing the Lotus, testing the 816, just in case the DFV didn't check out, and it didn't. The investment, they didn't get the return on their investment. Thank God it did. Thank God it did. Thank God it did, because we know the DFV, and I got to drive the Lotus 49 with that engine, and boy, is it cool. And a lot of modern sim racing games have the Lotus 49. I also got exposed to IndyCar racing, I think, on it as well. I didn't do too much motorcycle racing. I've done a couple of MotoGP games here and there, but yeah. So each and every decade has had its own thing. So I think for this decade, I think the nuance in this series would be now. What is there now? The other thing is there was a bunch of arcadey style racing games that we used to play. If we didn't want to play a real racing game, then we had the street racing games. So as I said before, the first ever street racing / chase game we ever played was Driver, and the Driver 1, Driver 2, Driver 3. And we didn't drive, and I didn't do Driver 76 or Driver Parallel Lines or Driver San Francisco and Driver this, Driver that, because those games are terrible. But the first game we ever did was, the first couple of Chase 'em and Get 'em games were probably the Driver Series, 007 Racing, and then eventually we also got to drive. I also did Spy Hunter Nowhere to Run, but that was kind of pathetic. I really hated that game, and I think it was kind of a waste of like $10. I remember going to the GameStop, buying it for like $10. I don't remember it being a total letdown. So I think it like a 2 on PowerPlay magazine or something like that, or Game Informer magazine. It got like 2 stars on Xbox and both PS2, and it was just god awful. I've seen some god awful games on PlayStation, but that takes the cake. So Then Need for Speed series came around. I remember Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, and I remember Need for Speed Underground 1, 2, and then Most Wanted, and then, I've also got Unbound, a couple other ones. And they kind of upped us into the street racing scene. I remember Underground 1 and 2. Remember we could race SUVs. And that's mostly a commonplace thing now. You can race SUVs and trucks and cars and car racing games now, because especially racing trucks over in Europe, stuff like that. So yes, they do race trucks over in Europe. Trucks that have like 2,000 horsepower, and they go like 100 miles an hour, and they hit each other. So yeah, so that whole sequence from Smokey and the Bandit 2, where Cletus Snowman Snow is racing his Peterbilt, that's a real thing. But they were racing on racing circuits over in Europe, not an oval, not a small oval with Peterbilts and Mack trucks and Western Stars and stuff like that for like $10,000, for like 10 grand, which was kind of nothing because they kind of spent that on a Trans Am. But so yeah, that's kind of how I got into racing, and that's kind of my evolution of racing games since I was recording a racing game today. I thought I'd do that. So hope you guys enjoyed the Gear Change show. But yeah, you get to hear how I got started in racing games and how and sort of a history of and why I'm big into racing. So but I'll see you guys later, and hope you guys enjoy both of these videos. I will catch you guys later. Good night.